If you are an intermediate or beginner level content creator who has been curious about how to use CapCut to make reels or TikTok videos or YouTube shorts, well, this is a great video for you because I'm actually showing you how to use CapCut for PC, like the CapCut desktop version, not the mobile version this time, and how you can use it to make these videos. So this is really good, like I said, for beginners or intermediate level content creators because I'm not going into too much depth in the video because I don't want you to get overwhelmed. You are gonna know the basics on how to create, a reel, a short video within CapCut, just really basically. So yeah, and this isn't your normal tutorial. Why do I say that? Because I'm actually sharing with you a recording of a live training that I did with some content creator friends of mine who wanted to learn how to use CapCut to make reels. So if that sounds like you're kind of jazzed and something that you think could benefit from you, if that sounds like something that you could benefit from, then keep on watching the training. And if you like my style and you would like to learn like in real time and you would like to be part of one of these future live trainings that I'm going to be continuing to do, hopefully, if enough people show up, then do me a favor, leave a comment and maybe leave and drop your email. Or you know what? Follow me. I should be better at this. I'm a social media manager, man. Okay, follow me on Instagram and send me a DM telling me that you would like to join one of these live free trainings. Okay, that was enough of an intro. And if you're still watching, bless you. I hope you enjoyed the training.
Using CapCut. This is an amazing app, not just for using the app on your phone, but it's amazing using it on desktop, especially for those of you who in the future, let's say you might want to have videos that are a little bit longer because you're going to have courses on your websites, or let's say you're going to post longer videos to YouTube, what have you. The desktop version is amazing for short videos like we're going to do today, reels, and also long videos. So I highly recommend it. It's free. There is a pro version. I do not pay for it because the free version has just so many capabilities. It's amazing. I can go on and on about this thing. I highly recommend like doing your reels here. Why? Because as much as I love Instagram, it's a pain in the butt. Sometimes there's the glitches and you could like lose all your work, especially if you're editing within the app itself. And the cool thing about using CapCut is, let's say you're on Instagram, but you also want to post your reels to, TikTok and then also YouTube. I just find it's much easier to start in one place like CapCut. You download the video and then you can go and post it to those other platforms. So what you're going to do is, obviously you have to download the program to your computer. It's not hard to do it all. And I'm not going to go through every tiny little thing because we're trying to keep this simple, especially for beginners. So you are going to start on new project. And something I want to mention too is if you can use CapCut on PC, then you can use it on your phone. Like on the phone, it's even like simpler, I guess you could say. So that's why I'm showing you on PC. So that way, if you know it on PC, then you can definitely use it on your phone. So what you're going to do is the first step is you're going to hit import. So I already had a video that I recorded this morning that I want us to use. Okay, so when you import it, it puts it in this little field, but you haven't yet added it to your timeline yet. So what you do is it's blue and highlighted. You just hit this little plus button and it adds it to your timeline. So there's all cool sorts of things that you can do here. Before we go and edit this little short reel together, we're going to just kind of look at some of the different things that you'll probably want to take advantage of. So while your clip is like selected or highlighted, let's say it wasn't selected, you want to go and select it. Okay. Now you have options. If you look to the right, you have, basic options. you're probably not going to have to use most of these. Okay. So don't worry, especially if you feel like, oh my gosh, this is too complicated. I promise you, you're not going to use most of this. And like I said, if you do it on your phone, like it's going to be a lot, you'll feel less overwhelmed, I guess. I have been editing videos for a couple of years. So for me, it's not a big deal. So you're really not going to use under this blue video tab here, you're really not going to use basic, cutout, mask, or enhance. Like you're not. I use that kind of stuff because I make kind of, a little bit more fancy videos, but for simple reels, don't worry. Audio, you can play around with the volume of your audio. You can play with fade ins and outs. I wouldn't worry about that. You can select if you want to reduce like noise, like background noise. So you can select that, which can be nice, especially if you might have some, background noise. Speed, I don't usually recommend speeding up videos if you're talking because it can sound a little funky. But let's say you have a video of you, let's say you're working on your computer, you set up your phone, just to like record you to get some B-roll footage. Let's say you're walking, whatever it is where you're not talking. If you do want to make the speed faster or slower, then you can do that. And if you look on the right here, you can either move the little bar and you'll see that the speed is increasing like 5.8 times the speed, 7.7 times. You can make it slower, 0.4, right? But we're going to just keep it at 1.0 times the speed. That's like the normal speed. You can add animations. So like I was looking at this one earlier where, and it says here on animations, it says the in, out, or combo. So in animation is like the first animation when the video first starts. Out would be like the animation when the video ends. But yeah, like you can mess around with them, play around with it, right? Sometimes people like adding like a little bit of like a zoom just to kind of get people's attention when they're scrolling. It might stop the scroll. But again, you don't have to be fancy. Just hit none if you don't want any, right? Adjustment, you can play around with the colors. This is more for like high-tech adjustment for people who are more like video editors, for like commercials, maybe music videos, things like that. Don't worry about that. So like I said, you're really not going to mess around with this right-hand side too often. Where you are going to probably want to have some fun is on the left. Obviously, we have our media that we imported, right? But you can go to audio. They have like some sound effects, things like that. Where it says music, I recommend be very careful when adding music, especially if you may post this to different platforms. I suggest if you're going to be posting this on, whether you're on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube Shorts, you choose like maybe a music in the background from one of those platforms. And you can add that on top later on, because there's a lot of issues with like copyright. Certain platforms allow certain songs and then other platforms don't allow them. So in order to avoid that, I just really suggest not really adding the music. But where we saw here sound effects, that might be interesting, right? There's not really like usually copyright issues with sound effects. You can add, like this one says cheering and applause, or like a horn sound. You can play around with that if you want to. But again, for beginners and intermediates, I don't necessarily recommend it. Text. So this is really cool because, you can either add your own text, or let's say I'm like in this video, I'm actually talking in the video. You can just do the auto captions. Like they have, the ability to create the auto captions. They extract from your video. It saves you time. That's usually my go-to that I do anytime I have a talking video. So what I do is I just click here, auto captions. You're going to change the language. And I don't know if you guys will be able to hear the audio, but that's not really that important right now. So what I'm actually going to do for our purposes here for tutorial, I'm going to click on it. And let's see. Usually there's a button that'll just mute it, but you know what? We're just going to let it play however oh, here it is. Sorry. So you can mute the clip in the audio. So let's say you just don't want to like hear it because for whatever reason, you can just hit mute. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hit create auto captions. Oh, apparently you have to have the volume up for it to recognize your speech. Sorry. Okay. Now it can create the captions now that it's unmuted. It doesn't take that long to do it. It's really good. They're usually very accurate as well. And you'll notice the captions just popped up on their own little track. So these are called tracks, right? So we have our first track, which is our original video. Then it created a second track where the captions are. And you'll see that I start talking here. The beginning, I'm like not speaking, right? I'm like kind of making sure I look okay. We'll cut that out soon, but I just want to show you the captions just popped up right here. So what I will usually do is I grab my captions and I usually, let's see if it'll let us move it. It should. Bear with me. There we go. Okay, my cursor was not wanting to grab it. I usually like to move the captions in more of like the center of the video. I usually try not to cover my face, but I usually try to put them in, you know, this kind of, you see where those little like blue lines popped up? That's the dead center of your video. I usually don't put them right there. I usually put them just like a little bit underneath that. Why? Because people's eyes are attracted usually to that center area. Also, if you put them too low, usually on Instagram or TikTok, you want to read like the little description of the video. These will kind of be in the way and it'll just be overwhelming. So, you know, just try to kind of keep it like in the center, below center-ish area. Okay. As you can look on the right-hand side, you'll see there's no like effect to this caption. You have different like caption effects that they have, and some people really like them. So let's just kind of look at one, for example. Like, let's say I'll just click on that. As I'm speaking, the caption will kind of like move around with that cool little effect if you want that. There's all sorts of different effects that you can play with. Like this one highlights certain words as you're speaking. A lot of people are into that right now. There's all sorts of different ones that you can choose from. Something to keep in mind on the phone. On the phone, a lot of these like cool effects, you actually have to have the pro version. But on the desktop, a lot of these are actually free. So a lot of people are preferring to actually edit their reels now on desktop so that they can get access to more of these effects. So one of you has a question, I think. Let's see. Oh, okay. Yeah, Rochelle said that's good to know. Yeah, it really does help to know that. So, but yeah, you can play around with these. I tend to be kind of boring and I usually don't like putting like these kind of effects. So I usually just hit the little cancel when I'm playing around with the effects. And instead I go to where it says basic and I will change up my captions that way. So like the font, it's just using the regular system font. You can go through here and basically select a different font that you like prefer. And, you know, you just kind of go through, check them out. Again, I'm pretty boring. So also, like, let's say you want to see different sorts of fonts where it says presets, you just click that and it'll show you other fonts available. So I'm just going to choose Arial Black. We're just going to keep it super simple. Let's see. You can, you know, change the sizing, right? You can make it large. Just you kind of have to play around with things. You'll over time kind of get a feel for like how large you want them. I suggest not going obviously too extremely large. You don't want to be, you know, ridiculous, but you don't want to make it too small either because there's a lot of people on Instagram that may have a hard time seeing. And if you don't really want people to have to squint too much when they're reading the captions, the words that are playing on your reel. But yeah, a lot of these you're not going to really have to use too much. I scroll all the way down here though in these this basic area that we're still in, and you can decide if you want where it says to like add a stroke. And what that looks like is it adds basically like an outline, around your letters, which I love. That's my go-to, is usually adding that little stroke outline around my letters. It just makes it pop more. So I like having that. You could add a background. So instead of having that stroke that I showed you before, instead you could, choose a background. You can change the color if you want to, right? Like, let's say you have, certain branding. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Now it let me do that. Okay. Like I said, under the background, you can change the color. If you don't like it too square, as you see there, you can make it rounded. So see how that changes, right? And you just play around with things. Yeah, you just play around, see what you like best. But like I said, I'm pretty boring, and I usually just go with stroke, and the letters pop really nice. Again, you could add glow if you want to have glow. You can add shadows. Also you can add curves. You can get really fancy with this, but again, just keep it simple at the beginning while you're getting used to it. And as you get more used to this app, then go crazy, all right. Animation. You can choose if you want your words to like animate as they're coming up on screen. I usually don't do that, but again, play with it. You have animation for how the words enter. You see where it says in, out, right? Loop. So looping means that the words are going to constantly be moving, which might kind of be wild. I don't necessarily recommend that, but you have animations for when the words come in, and then they can have like an animation when they're leaving the screen. But again, I usually just keep it very simple. I want to go back to the section that said text. You'll also see here, if let's say CapCut, when they did the auto captions, it wasn't very accurate. You could go in and, fix the word. So if I know I say gonna, right? But if I wanted, I could change it going to, right? If you look on the left and you see how the words are aligned on the screen, you see how it says, today we're going to learn how to make a reel. Okay, reel is also not spelled the way we want. But let's say you didn't like how you had more, like the two top lines had most of the wording, and then you just have a reel on the very bottom. Like, let's say like for your eyes, it just looks funky. I'm weird like that. So I usually choose to, you got to play around with this, and the more you do it, the better you'll get. But like for me, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to hit the enter bar. Okay, see how that still looks freaky? I don't know what else to call it. At this point, I might actually now play with font size. So let's there you go. See how that looks just a little bit better? We'll go down one more. Okay, I think that's better. And I think that'll look fine when the reel shows up as well. I don't think it'll be too small for the viewer to read. So yeah, those are ways that you can play around with the actual text itself. If you have to fix a mistake, you want to make it, the sizing look a little just more cohesive. Those are ways that you can do that. Okay, don't worry about these other options like tracking or text to speech necessarily. I wouldn't worry about those right now. Just, maybe on your own time, play around with that. But again, we're just trying to keep it very simple. Also, if you go all the way to the left where it says captions, you'll see how like this section is this like portion of words. And then if you click on you can either click up here, or you can click on the track on your timeline and click here. Just make sure that if you want to edit a word, you click it on the track to then go and be able to edit it. So you're in the area that you want to be. Something also, if you're on the desktop version, you see how nothing is selected. Like I don't have the video track selected or any of the caption tracks selected. Anytime you want to work on a specific part of your video, make sure you go and click. You see how now it's like highlighted? That's how you can tell it's selected. Because sometimes you might forget and you're like, I'm trying to fix this word. Why can't I fix it? It's like, well, you're not you don't have it selected, right? Okay, now that you know about, adding these auto captions, kind of like messing around with them, let's teach you how to like cut parts out of your video. So again, just like for our purposes here, I'm going to just mute this. I don't want us to like necessarily hear because it's going to be hard for me to talk over myself. So I purposely, when I made this video, I purposely had an area where I wasn't doing anything because I wanted to show you guys how to like snip and cut things out. And at the end, I am also just like standing there looking all like confused, trying to turn off my camera. I did that on purpose. So what I'm going to do is, now that we have our auto captions, you can see that this is this little area. If I move my cursor, this is basically where my, and I'm going to make this a tad larger. Maybe that'll be a little easier. Okay. This is where my speaking starts. So I don't really necessarily need this whole area up until I'm talking. I am going to move my cursor like almost right at the beginning. And if you want to get really specific and you don't want to be squinting like I am right now, you can actually expand this area that we're working in, this timeline area. So on the very bottom, towards the bottom right, there's like this little zoom bar. So you can just zoom in and out this way, or you can click to zoom. This makes your job easier. And then there's a scroll bar at the bottom that you can just move around as you're working too. So it just, I like to zoom in on the areas that I'm working. So I'm going to probably cut out this area about right here. Okay. So I have my cursor. Now what I need to do is, if I want to cut part of the video, again, I have to be selected on the video itself, right? So you're going to select the video. You are going to hit this little button that says split. Click that button that says split. Okay, and it just split your video in two. So I don't want this part here. You can either hit this little delete button, the trash can, or you could right click and let's see, hit delete. Boom, and it just moved my whole video, the part that I want, to the beginning, since we got rid of that. So as you see, now we got rid of all that dead space, and now I just start talking, right? Okay, so let's say that I didn't make a mistake in the middle, but let's say you made a mistake where you like stuttered, or like you said something that you didn't like and you're like, oh gosh, that was dumb. Obviously you want to cut that out too, right? So what you could do is same thing. You find the area that you don't like, you move your cursor to it. Let's say I had made a mistake like right here. You'd put your cursor there, you'd hit split. And then let's say this whole spot was like the mistake again. You'd put your cursor at that spot, you'd hit split, and you see now this chunk, what you would do is then you would hit delete, it would get rid of it, and it would move the part that you want up. So that way the good parts are put together. Because I don't want to delete anything, I'm just going to hit the undo button because everything is fine here. All right. So again, at the end, there was a little bit of a, like, I'm just kind of at the end, just like hanging out, right? Smiling. Here's a tip for you when you're creating your videos. I always suggest, after you're done talking, wait a moment or two. Wait a moment or two where you're just kind of smiling. Why? Because sometimes that extra little moment is great for, like, let's say you want to add like something really like at the end of the video that's like, read the caption. That can be like a nice little space that you could add something like that. So I might do something like that because I want to show you guys how to add your own text as well, right? Because we know how to do auto captions. I'm going to show you how to add some text. So I am going to end the video around here. I don't want all this. So I'm going to hit split and delete. Or another thing that you could do. So let's say I didn't want to hit split and delete, but I know that I want to delete up to this space. If you grab your video, if you just like hover over the end of your video, those little black cursors pop up. Grab it and scroll it to the left. And that's another way to get rid of the ending. So you got some options there. Okie dokes. Okay, so I said that I wanted to maybe add some text at the end where I'm like smiling, kind of like a creeper. So I'm going to just put some random text. So you see at the what's it called? The auto caption, right? Ends right here. So I might just move my cursor just like a tiny bit. Okay, and now I want to add text, let's say in this area. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the left where it says text, click on it. We are going to hit the button that says add text. We're going to add our own. So they have all these fancy ones if you want to, go for something fun. You have all these different options, right? You have social media, you have title text that like you can get really fun. Like I said, that's why it's really fun to do this on your PC compared to the phone app, because there's just a lot more to choose from. But let's see. So like this one, add text, we're going to just go to, so I just have regular plain, we'll just choose that one. You're going to hit the little plus sign to add it to the track, and it adds it to that same track where the other auto captions were. As you can see, though, my text is going way beyond what my video is. So you can grab your text, right? Hover over it with the cursors, grab it, like, and drag it all the way to the end of your video. And it's the end of your video because that little blue line just popped up. This is like so easy. The more you do it, like, don't be afraid. Like, you can do this, like, so easy. And like I said, if you want, you can always start on the phone app first and then go here. And just the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get. So this text is, again, right in the dead center. I don't necessarily want it there. Maybe I'm going to grab it. I'm going to move it down. You can make the text bigger, as we've said, by changing the font size, right? Or sometimes you can just grab the little corner edges and, like, make it as big or as small as you want. Okay. And again, over here, it just selected on its own the system font. You can change that, right? You can hit either the presets, which are kind of more of the fancier fonts, or when you minimize that window, you can just go to the different system fonts. Again, I'm boring, so we're just going to choose Arial Black. I mean, it's really nice and easy to read. But yeah, you can choose like your branding colors, what have you. But choose colors that are going to show up nice, that are easy on the eye, that are easy for your viewer to read. And the same thing, I suggest that with fonts. Like, if you get a little too fancy, like this, for example, I mean, yeah, you could read it, but it makes the brain have to do extra work because there's a lot more going on. So, I suggest sticking to fonts that are just, a little simpler in nature. Just, use your best judgment. Okay, as we said, we can change the wording. So I'm going to go up here where it says default, and I'm just going to put read caption. And then let's say I want to have like a little arrow, like pointing down, because that's fun. You can go to the left where it says stickers. So now we're getting to the part where we're like really like, how would you say, customizing it. So don't waste your time looking through these, because I have spent way too much time looking through like the stickers before, because you're like, oh, that's cute. Oh, wow, that's random. I don't know when I'll ever need to use that sticker, but all right, it's there. So on the desktop, you can search stickers easier, right? But on the phone, not necessarily. On the phone, you do kind of waste time. So like this one, you can search arrow, right? And it pops up a bunch of arrows. Thank you for bringing that up, Rochelle. You get extra virtual high five for bringing that up. So just have fun with it. As you see, when you click on it, it's just kind of giving you a preview of what it would look like, but it hasn't yet added it to your video. So in order to add it, click the star, add to track. And as you see, it added it right where my cursor was. I actually want the arrow to show up the same amount of time that the words read caption show up. So you're going to click on the arrow on the track. You're going to grab it, hold it, and drag it to where the beginning of your words are. But it's like in a weird place. My caption's not like in my eyeball. Why am I pointing there? Okay, we want to like move this around. As you have it selected, your little sticker, there's a rotate button. Just click on it and you can kind of rotate it. Maybe I didn't choose the best arrow, but whatever, we're just going to deal with it. The arrow is way too big. I want it to be underneath the word caption. So grab the corner and we are going to adjust the size, make it smaller. Now we're going to grab it as it's on the screen and put it wherever you want. And I'm just going to do that, right? It doesn't look that bad now. Okay. But again, the arrow sticker effect that we have, it's going way beyond the video itself. So again, you're going to hover over the end of the sticker element and you're going to grab it and you're going to drag it all the way there. And again, this app is great because the little blue line tells you like where everything's like ending. And that way, everything is like lined up. See? Cool. All right. Trying to think of what else. I also want to show you guys something else too. And let me backtrack for a second here. I know I had showed you guys from the very beginning to add the auto captions. My advice is actually to do this first, is you start with your easy steps and then you get fancier as you go. So the best way to start is actually watching your video through first and finding out the places that you need to like split and cut off and get rid of, right? Do that first, then go and generate your auto captions, right? Then go and edit those auto captions and make sure they're not all messed up, right? Fixing them up, changing the font style, changing the size if you want it to have some sort of like cool font effects, right? Then go and add other fonts like I did right at the end, the read caption. Add your little stickers, right? So you start simple and then you get fancy. That, like I said, I hope this is making sense, right? Start your simplest editing tasks first, then get fancy. And I would also want to mention, please always put captions on your videos. Please always, if you're speaking, obviously if it's a video that you're not speaking, like, yeah, you're not going to do auto captions, but it's still good to have words on your screen to like convey whatever message it is you're trying to send to your viewer. But especially for talking videos, always have captions. There's people that don't watch with high volume, or like, let's say they're laying in bed at night and like, someone's sleeping next to them. They don't want to wake them up. They can at least read on the screen. So always, always, always do that. And if you don't, I am going to slap you with a virtual sandal. I'm just kidding. And YouTube, this is a joke. All these people watching, we're friends here. Okay. So now I'm going to show you other cool effects. And again, you're on the top left here. So, you guys know how to add the stickers. I told you about the cool text effects. Now you can go to a button that actually just says effects itself. And they have some really cool ones. Again, the desktop version has a lot more of these for free, whereas on the phone, you have to kind of upgrade. But again, if you click on something, it just shows you a preview. So, right, just different sorts of different effects. That's why this app is so good, guys. Like, you need this. CapCut is the bomb. And this is not sponsored, but eventually I would like to get a sponsorship from them. So, but okay, I just added something on accident because I was getting all hyper here. I just added this liquid effect. Okay, that's freaky. Let's watch it just for fun. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, I could keep that to make things just like, fun, but I don't want that. So when you add something on accident, right, highlight it and either click the trash can delete button or right click and hit delete, and it takes it off of your timeline. But again, just play around with things. If you want to add effects to get people's attention, why not, right? Why not do it? Filters is something that I use a lot. So we're going to go to the next option next to that, which is filters. Love filters. They're fun, especially if you're trying to kind of like create like this brand image around your brand. Some marketers will recommend that you have like the same kind of filters on all your videos, because then people kind of maybe get to know you more, and that's part of your look and your branding. But yeah, just play around with it. Again, on the phone, a lot of these you have to have the upgraded version. So if you want to have more options, do it on the computer. But it just kind of gives a different look, right? Let's say that your lighting wasn't the best when you're recording, but you're like, just gonna throw a filter on it and it'll just kind of fix things. There you go, right? Like, Just throw a filter, boom. Adjustments. This is where you can kind of get customized with like your colors. Don't do that. That's like for more professional editors that I was mentioning earlier who are like film, commercial, music video editors. Don't worry about that. So yeah, that is basically like the most important things that you would need as a beginner / intermediate for editing on CapCut, whether it be on the computer or on your phone. Let's say we finish this video, we're happy with it, boom, boom, boom. What you want to do is on the top, you see where it says 0131, CapCut just automatically like put today's date on there. So I'm just going to call this, you know, let's just call it Wednesday CapCut tutorial video. If I can spell. Okay. So that way now, when I go and export this, because this is going to save to my computer again, but if you're on your cell phone, it would then save into one of your folders in your cell phone, right? You go and hit the export button at the top right. Okay. It has the title. If I messed up on the title, I can edit it. The title's not the end of the world, but you know, it exports to a certain area of my computer. Resolution, don't really change this stuff. The stuff's pretty much always going to be good to go. 1080p, keep that. That's like the highest resolution, at least for now. As technology increases, I'm sure it's going to increase more and more and more. Bitrate, leave that as recommended. Don't change any of this stuff. That stuff makes no sense to you. Don't worry about it. Leave it. Format, MP4 is great. Don't change that stuff. Just hit the button that says export. And because these are short videos, it doesn't take that long to export them. Again, if you did this on your phone, it would get saved in an area of your phone. If you're on the desktop and you were logged into YouTube or TikTok, you could just automatically upload it to TikTok or YouTube if just to make your life easier, but we're not doing that today. We're just gonna exit out of this. You can just hit cancel. All right. Now that everything's saved and I just exported it, you're gonna go to the top left where it says menu, go back to your home page. Thank you guys so much for showing up. Awesome. Okay. You guys have a good rest of your day.